Welcome into another edition of the Gator Nation Football Podcast Film Review. I'm James DiVirgilio, and on today's episode, we'll take a look at Florida's new offensive coordinator, Buster Faulkner. I certainly hope you've all been enjoying the offseason. It is great to be back with you, and I'm going to give you a glimpse into what Buster may be doing at Florida. I'm going to try to show you the concepts I think that are going to carry over the most. Some of what he did at Georgia Tech, I think, is going to remain specific to the personnel he had at Georgia Tech. And some of what he's going to do here at Florida is not going to be displayed on film per se. But there are some core concepts that Buster employs that I'm going to show you. And I certainly hope you enjoy taking a preview look at what Buster Faulkner likes to do, what his philosophies are, and essentially what his goal is as an offensive coordinator. As always, if you enjoyed this content, sub to this channel and follow us on social media, where you can always get the latest content from the GNFP. This is going to be a preview video here originally on YouTube. You're going to get a few segments here to start. You will get the full video as we approach the spring game. If you want the full video right now, you can get that on Patreon, which is the main source now for these film reviews. You're always going to wind up getting the same exact number of videos on YouTube, but there's going to be more robust content on Patreon. But again, for this one in particular, I am going to release the full video for you on YouTube, which is going to be a little bit after I release the one on Patreon. The link is in the description if you want to join on Patreon, where $15 a month does get you unlimited access to all of the film review content I post all season long. All right, with all that being said, let's get into the film and walk through what Buster wants to do. I'm going to both describe this visually with the plays, and then also I'm going to actually just kind of tell you what some of his tendencies are and what to expect from him. So by the end of this, you have a pretty good idea of what the Buster Faulkner experience might be like. All right, a couple of things right off the bat. Buster Faulkner is not Mike Leach, not even close. Mike Leach, when he was in Mississippi State, threw the ball 75+% of the time, almost every single year. Buster Faulkner actually runs the ball more than he passes the ball most of his seasons, including when he had quarterbacks at a variety of stops previous to Georgia Tech. So no matter where he's been, he's more likely to run the ball more than he is to pass the ball. So if you're expecting a Mike Leach level air raid offense, you're not going to get that. That's important. Secondarily, he's also not Lane Kiffin. Very different style from Lane Kiffin, not the same way to attacking defenses. His passing yards, vertical attacks, just how often he's going to throw the ball downfield, 25+ yards, are not going to resemble Lane Kiffin. Very, very different from him as well. In fact, he's really most like Todd Monken, and even Todd Monken passes the ball on average a decent bit more than Buster Faulkner. Now, that does not mean that Buster Faulkner wants to run the ball with the triple option or the wing T every single play. But he is far more balanced and more run-oriented again than perhaps some of the coordinators, obviously, I just mentioned, as well as even some other ones out there. His philosophy is very tactical, as is Monken's. That's why, as I mentioned, we may see some of these things that Georgia Tech runs here style-wise. We may not. We are going to see some of the features of his offense regardless of the personnel he has here at Florida. But I would expect him to pass more at Florida, obviously he did at Georgia Tech, and perhaps even pass to a balanced level or more than he does running the football, which has happened multiple times in his career where he's passed the ball, 56, 57% of the time in his season. So he's very tactical when it comes to how he approaches his offense. This is an important thing, but he's not going to be Mike Leach of the air raid and not going to be Lane Kiffin, more of a run and shoot style. He is going to be very tactical. And of course, he calls his offensive style really a pro style hybrid. Pro style because it does feature a lot of what you're going to see in the NFL, lots of different personnel groupings, lots of different formations, really trying to match up and tactically attack the weakest part of the defense, going under center even, and the hybrid where it also features a lot of what you see in the college game each and every week, which is going to be, spread, RPO, etc. Now, admittedly, the NFL has really mirrored college a lot more. So most of what Buster Faulkner is doing with his pro style is utilizing NFL terminology, preparing his players for the NFL directly as a selling point for players that want to play in his offense, and ultimately introducing a lot of complexity when it comes to pre-snap formation motions and how they're challenging a defense. And that's a lot of what the pros can do. Of course, they have more time to spend on this. They're also more experienced players. So when it comes to formations, how to utilize them, what they attack from, and what the pictures look like for the defense, it's sort of a more is more philosophy when it comes to Buster Faulkner. A lot a lot of stuff going on pre-snap to confuse the defense. And primarily, if you want to look at like the Buster Faulkner strategy, he wants to take the game out of the opposing coach's hands. So his goal is to show the opposing coach maybe one or even two looks before the snap, and then go to that final motion when it's up to the players to decide, primarily under duress. They're not going to have a lot of time to figure it out, where these players are going to be moving on their motions. And that hopefully creates space for the play to work. And I'm going to show you that throughout this play review, something Buster Faulkner calls dividing the defense. That's his goal, is to basically waste as many players as he can away from the play side of the football. So I know it's a lot of word salad, but I wanted to get a lot of that out in front right away, kind of what his overall philosophy is, who he's going to be like, who he's not going to be like, and what some of his plans are. Now I'll kind of reveal more of his tactics and strategies as we actually go through the film, but that's a good opener to give you an idea of what we're going to be getting into here on today's video. Let's open with one of the first plays of the game for Georgia Tech against Georgia, and a feature of Buster Faulkner's offense, which will heavily feature at Florida as well. And that's going to be an unbalanced formation. So unbalanced formation, how many players are on one side of the line of scrimmage versus another? You can do this using offensive linemen shifting over, tight ends being over here, multiple receivers, but basically an unbalanced formation. He features more of these than just about anyone else in the country. And he utilizes them in a variety of ways. He will run from them. He will pass from them. And here, backed up in his own goal line, you're going to see a more simple look from Buster. You're going to get a motion from your outside receiver. He's going to set back here before this play comes off. Now, Georgia got heavily punished by really one of the feature runs of Faulkner's offense in the 2024 season, which is very simple. It's just going to wind up being a zone read. The key here for King is going to be just to read the outside man. If he winds up stepping inside, he's going to keep it. If not, he's going to hand it off, and we're going this way. So you are going to be attacking both sides of the field here. And what Buster's trying to do, he's trying to split Georgia's defense and get players wasted on this side if they want to attack the Haynes-King side here, to allow this handoff to be successful while featuring a wide split here and here to create more space for this run play, right? So ultimately, it's always going to be about creating space and positive matchups. That's what any offense is trying to do if they're going to be a solid offense. But Georgia counters early on in this game by bringing their safety into the box, into this run area as well. So you can see the defender here containing. He's the read contained. He's going to hold the quarterback from being able to keep this. And now if they want to hand it off, they're basically coming in to fill this gap ahead of time. So an aggressive strategy here from Kirby Smart, much easier to do when Georgia Tech's in the 1 or 2 yard line. But that is a counter from Georgia, knowing that Buster will always be attacking both sides of the field. It's a feature for every single one of his plays, is he's always going to have a weak side and a play side play on. He's not just going to go to the strong side or the weak side or the play side or the non-play side. He's going to wind up allowing that to be basically a read on many of these plays. It's going to be to attack either side of the field. So he is trying to attack fully vertically as well as fully horizontally, and that's going to put maximum pressure on the defense. Georgia, though, on this one, ready for the scout. Ball gets handed off because the contained defender at the bottom there does a nice job. You can see that read. He's here. He's in the window. Got to hand this off and then play right here. Simple zone blocking scheme from Georgia Tech on this one. Play does not go for anything. Now, also a fun thing about Buster's offense is the offensive line has no idea on any of these run plays who actually is getting the ball. It does not matter to them. So they're basically blocking a two-way option every single time. You'll see them run counters. You'll see them run traps. You'll see them run zone runs. They do not know who's getting the ball, and it does not matter. It's built in to work either way. It's one of the features as well of the offense. That's why it's difficult for a defense to prep for this. There are so many things that they're looking at, and you can't just key on it and say, hey, if they run a counter, as you're going to see, they must be running it to the counter side. That is not how it works. So the offensive line does not need to know who's getting the ball or what's happening. They're blocking the same way every single time. A main feature here. So again, this play doesn't go for anything great. In fact, takes a short loss on the road, but it does feature an unbalanced formation. You're going to keep seeing more of that as we go through the review. Unbalanced formation here again on third down, backed up at their own 1 yard line. And if you've been following this film review of mine for any amount of time, you know that what you're about to see is going to make me very happy. Buster Faulkner, of course, did begin his career as an air raid quarterback. In college, he was not an air raid quarterback in high school. He actually ran the ball a ton. But air raid in college and then air raid for the early part of his career, and still features, of course, some of the staple air raid plays, one of which is for verts, a play that, of course, I love, can be run in many ways. I've featured it on the film review. Didn't see it under Billy Napier very often or at all. But right here, backed up even on our own goal line, unbalanced formation here, yet again, all players eligible. If you've never paid attention to eligibility rules, it's kind of fun to do with Buster Faulkner because when you start getting unbalanced lines, it gets a little bit more chaotic. But tight end here on the line, tight end here on the line, receiver set off the line, receiver set off the line. That's important because if these receivers were actually on the line of scrimmage, these tight ends would not be eligible for a pass. So a small note there. But we're going to wind up getting 4 verts right here. 4 verts, 3rd down and 10. You're playing a team that's better personnel-wise than you are, but you're still going to try to get the first down. Not a dump off, not a punt automatically here. They're going to try to get the first down. And you're going to see this right here. This looks like pre-snap cover 2, could be cover 2 man. What's really tough about manning Georgia Tech is because they run so many unbalanced formations, so many pre-snap motions, it's confusing for the assignments of the players, and they're going to wind up getting just a cover 2 here. There's the check. There's your pre-snap check. Now Georgia's going to shift out of that, right? So a lot of gamesmanship going on here. Georgia's going to shift out of that only to actually stay in it, and you might get a blown coverage here from what should be a Tampa 2, most likely. Regardless, you're going to get a cover 2. We're going to send all 5 out. Here comes your 4 verts right there, running back in, which is going to get picked up here by what could be your Tampa 2, or again, it could be a traditional 2 where you're supposed to stay right there. But the beauty of 4 verts is if you get cover 2, 4 verts is absolutely a cover 2 beater. Why? Because you're going to have these defenders staying underneath. They're playing trail technique like you see here. They're responsible for this area in the flats. That's going to give you open areas here. It's also going to give you an open area here and here and here, depending on what the safeties can do, because the safeties cannot guard both of these areas at the same time. So you have an absolute coverage beater here if you get this standard cover 2, which is exactly what you're getting right here. And now you just need to execute as a quarterback, and you got to block up front. They block up front, and they're going to get a wide open 2 sets of your seam receivers here. Take your pick as a quarterback. This is as easy as it gets, backed up on your own 1-yard line. Got to get the first down right here, again, against a better opponent talent-wise. And you're going to come out 4 verts, right? Why I love the air raid. There it is. Easy. Facing the quarterback, chilling. Doesn't even take a big hit. Picks up 30 yards on that play. So 4 verts alive and well here, even at Georgia Tech, even backed up in their own goal line. You can imagine with Florida's personnel, 4 verts is going to be a lot of fun in the swamp. All right, motion is a feature of Buster's offense. We talked about him wanting the players to play the game. So in this case, he doesn't want Kirby Smart and his staff to have chances to adjust for the players. He wants the players to see this picture right here. Got an empty set, 3x2. Now we're going to pull the running back in, move the tight end over, put the receiver here, right, in this wing position, and now give them a whole different look. Create all kinds of different communication up front here, and all this just to have a handoff. Now, Georgia Tech's running a lot of old school stuff if you were to watch all their film, right? A lot of what you would consider to be like wing T or single wing, even some wishbone at times, kind of a perhaps an homage to their previous era, but also because it's just tough to defend zone running or power running when you get a lot of these motions. Now, again, it's somewhat, you could say, gimmicky in the college game to use a ton of motion. We saw Billy Napier use a lot of motion that was pretty much wasted. But when it comes to Faulkner, his motions all have a purpose. Every single one is to create what he is trying to create in the game. And he's never going to show in a single game the same picture twice to a defense ever. So he's not going to give you the same formation shift, the same look, the same play. It's never going to happen. If he runs the same play, it will look totally different from a different set of concepts. It's one of the hard things, again, to prepare for him. You can't just tell your players, hey, when you see this look, they're going here. He's incredibly tactical. And that, again, is more of a pro-style game plan. Huge amount of plays, huge bank of information that he distills down each and every week to his players, trying to make it simple for them, but very complicated for the defense. And so this play, of course, you're going to watch it and think, okay, pretty simple here. Just going to have a potential handoff or fake handoff coming out the other way. So like we talked about, the play side or the non-play side is always going to feature a chance for someone to get the ball. You're trying to waste as many players as possible here with this sweep, right? Try to waste as many as you can. The more we can waste, the better this play can be, all while running an outside zone. So it's going to wind up just being an outside zone here. Straightforward. There's your handoff. There's your outside zone. Pretty normal pickup there, right? But again, you're going to see a lot of unbalanced formations. You're going to see a lot of pre-snap shifts. You're going to see a lot of late pre-snap shifts like you see there, and the ball is then snapped very quickly thereafter, which is going to put a lot of pressure on defenses to communicate, to not blow their assignment, to not move out of their run gaps, and to basically just not be in the wrong spot. And that's a lot of how Buster plans to attack college defenses. The air raid philosophy, which might surprise some of you, is really to throw the ball short and simple as many times as possible to score as many points as possible. That often, of course, does open up vertical throws in the air raid offense. But that is the philosophy, right? We want as many simple plays that gain positive yards. If we can gain 5 yards every play, we're going to be an amazing football team, really hard to stop. And Buster's going to utilize a lot of screens to do that. And the way he does that, again, is by showing the front 7 right here. Look, very simple, right? You're going to motion him out. You got your tight end in the backfield. You got a receiver out here, another tight end, depending on who he's using in this personnel grouping. You've got an unbalanced formation. And now you're going to just force everyone to guard the entire surface of the football field. We're not playing in a phone booth right now. You can see the entire football field needs to be guarded. We're going to threaten you at all levels. And then on top of that, we're going to run a power look here, right? You're going to get a guard tight end counter right here on this play. This is going to be a screenplay all the way, but you're still going to get this look. So you can never just sort of fall asleep as a front 6 player or front 7 player when you play Georgia Tech, because you can't just key on it and say, oh yeah, they're running a screen. They're gonna wind up pass setting, or they're gonna wind up zone blocking. They're not. You can't read off that. That's not how you can read off a Buster Faulkner offense. It's hard to read that way. You can't do it. You got to stay sound. So there's your counter, but this play is not a run at all. We're not running the ball at all. We're just going to run a simple screen out here, and we're trying to basically pick up just a simple gain here, right? We know we don't have a numbers advantage. Pre-snap, you know that. You can see there's no numbers advantage. Pre-snap, we're here, right? Pre-snap, you got a hanger defender, and you're probably going to wind up being 3-on-3. You know that, but you've also got the most space here, right, to this field side. You've got the most space, so why not get this ball to an athlete? There you go. Block up here and get him one-on-one in a safety. And that's matchup football. That's what you're looking to do. Obviously, with this style of offense, again, very much the NFL. If that's Percy Harvin, think of a Meyer back and have as Percy Harvin taking on a safety who's not as good, not as athletic, get 2 good blocks here. This could be a huge play off of an extended handoff. And so that's, of course, what Faulkner is going to be looking to do. Instead, this play really, again, doesn't go for much. And not a lot's going to go for a lot in this film, right? The purpose of this film is not to show you all the glory plays Georgia Tech had. It's to show you the philosophy and, of course, again, to show you what good teams are going to do to counter it, because that's what we're all about here on the film review. We're talking about playing optimally versus top opponents, not trashing bottom-level opponents, but really looking at, does this work against better opponents, and what's the philosophy, and will it carry over and work here at Florida? So this play doesn't go for much, but you can see the philosophy pre-snap, and again, you can see how the field is being stretched horizontally to the max, as well as interesting looks from the offensive linemen who don't know where the ball is going on these plays most of the time. Again, they're going to block agnostically, so to speak, of what's happening with the play. Same drive, Georgia Tech still moving the ball down the field here. And now, stack set, right? Something different. I haven't seen this yet. Again, going to get your running back kind of out here in a bizarre spot. Put him in space. And now, because they know that Georgia Tech, and I haven't shown this yet, but Georgia Tech likes to run a lot out of empty. They love to run out of empty. If you give them a chance to do it, they're going to do it, especially with Haynes King. They're going to run out of empty. So Georgia knows that, meaning they're going to have a spy here on that play. There it is. He's going to spy. And Georgia Tech knows that, which is why they're going to simply clear it out here and just run this in-breaking route into the space that's going to be there, because he's not playing the pass. He is simply spying on the weak side. Notice what side he's on too. He's on the weak side, right? Because again, Georgia Tech's always threatening both sides. So he's going to stay on the weak side. Georgia Tech knows this. There's your in-breaking route. He identifies. Top's not there. Take this route coming here. He's flat-footed watching me. Put the ball into that nice huge space right there for an easy completion. Clean pocket. And there you go. Nice pickup. Nice pickup, right? That's created by the full threat of everything Georgia Tech does. You're not just getting that to get that. That's a buildup of what happened in 2024 and all of the ways that Georgia Tech tries to attack a defense. And that's going to bring an end to this preview video. The full video is available right now on Patreon. The link is in the description. The full video will be available on YouTube in the coming weeks, and there will be more videos to come here in the off season before we head out into the full season. So stay tuned for that as well. As always, thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. I'm James DiVirgilio. Go Gators. I'll see you next time.